Welcome to Beyond Overeating by Wholesome Lifestyle Project, the Overeating Podcast, where I'll be showing up weekly to share with you what I've learned during my binge eating recovery, helpful tools such as yoga, mindfulness, and energy medicine. My name is Stell, and my purpose is to inform and educate so that you can fast track your recovery in healing your relationship with food and finally trust yourself around the peanut butter jar. Join me as I share top tips, my struggles and triumphs to help inspire or just entertain. Remember, there's nothing wrong with you if you can't stop overeating. That's why I'm here to guide you along the way. I'm so excited to be back this week with a really special guest interview, and we'll hop into that in just a second. I just wanted to make a quick announcement today, and I want to celebrate so many of my beautiful clients who have found food freedom in the last few months. And I thought I would just quickly read some of their results just before we get into the actual episode. So, as you know, I help women heal their relationship with food and body so that they no longer binge eat, so that they no longer feel that they're trapped and out of control with food. So I'm just going to read out a few beautiful words that some of my clients have written, and then we'll hop straight into the interview with Ellie. So the first one is from a physiotherapist in the UK. I'm going to just leave all these anonymously, and you can go and check out their pictures in the show notes. But she said, Stell helped me take control back with regards to emotional eating. Stell is an amazing, supportive, and honest coach. She has helped me take control back with regards to emotional eating. With her guidance and support, I was able to realize that I can trust myself around food and make healthy choices. Hanneli from New Zealand said, I'm in control of food, and that's true food freedom. The biggest breakthrough I had during my coaching journey in the Food Freedom Program was taking back control for my emotions, recognizing the binge triggers. In addition, being compassionate to myself whenever I had a bad day. Jamie from Germany said, I can't say enough good things about my experience with Stell. I'm amazed at the things I've learned about myself, my habits, my hang-ups, and most importantly, all the things I'm capable of. Each time we meet, I'm given new skills to put into practice, not only to improve my relationship with food, but also improve my relationship with myself. I'll read one more. Lisa, a psychologist, said, Estelle helped me by looking at non-food solutions to solve my problems. I was a serious binge eater and couldn't manage my weight. Estelle helped me by looking at non-food solutions to solve my problems and helped me get to the binge-free for good. Estelle made me feel supported and empowered to take back control of my life. Estelle provided me with easy tools to manage my binge eating. I'm reading this to you because I wanted to let you know that recovery is possible and you can make a difference in your life if you just take those steps. And with that, I'm announcing something that's really special to me, something that I've been working on. It is backed by science. It is just such a beautiful program that I'm putting together. And I will be announcing what that is in the next few weeks. I'd love for you to hop onto the waitlist to find out more about this. This is going to be a program to rewire your brain and emotional eating with an intimate group of highly motivated women and for support. That's all I'm saying right now. So go and sign up onto the waitlist. I'll put the link into the episode and as well as the show notes. and let's dive into this amazing episode where we will be talking to Eli about just a different stance on food and how we need to approach food from a Chinese medicine perspective. So I look forward to sharing this episode with you, and I can't wait to um, hear what you have to think about this. I will see you soon. Have a beautiful day. Bye.
Beautiful. Welcome back to another exciting episode on the Beyond Overeating podcast by Wholesome Lifestyle Project. I am your host, Coombe-Heath, binge and emotional eating recovery specialist, where I help you heal your relationship with food so that you can just take on the world and life with just a new way of being. And today I'm so excited because I have a very special guest with me today, natural health practitioner and traditional Chinese medicine specialist in women's health, Eli Huang. I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Today, we'll be talking about the importance of eating a balanced diet according to traditional Chinese medicine. And I'm excited about this because, the diet industry is all about eating balanced, and we always have the usual, spectrum of what a balanced diet would look like. But today, we're going to look at that from a Chinese medicine perspective.
Yeah.
So, I am excited to dive into that. Ellie is just a wealth of knowledge. She is a health practitioner in traditional Chinese medicine. She's also an NLP master practitioner and a beauty therapist. So she has so much information that she can provide with us. She's been working for over 12 years in natural health with her father, also a traditional Chinese medicine for over 45 years. Wow. So it's like in the family, isn't it?
Yes, I've learned lots from him, and mum's a really good cook. So that really helps.
Oh, that's amazing. So Ellie really has a passion for reversing aging in women's health and living a healthy and happy life through holistic means. And I love that because I am all about the holistic approaches,
Mhm.
seeing the person as a whole. So I'm excited to hear more from you, Ellie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's okay, Estelle. Lovely to be here.
So, did you want to tell us a little bit about your story, just where you're from and how you got into what you do?
Yeah, so growing up, like I said, my father's been a Chinese medicine practitioner for 46 years now, I think. So, he studied in China and he is amazing at what he does. So I learned from a very young age. We were brought up with Chinese medicine. I think I was starting taking herbs when I was 3 years old or even younger. I was having acupuncture from that age. And I must say, I do that to my son as well. He's on herbs and naturopathic stuff from a baby. So, growing up, it was really important that he put into practice what he knows. So mum was a really good cook growing up. And so we were always encompassing Chinese herbs in our cooking. Herbal medicine, it's from nature, it's plants, it's, fruits from nature. So all our soups contain these beautiful raw things that you find in nature. They're all herbal medicines to help, whatever. If you had a cold or flu, he'd make like a soup, or mum would make a soup that included things like that. So, I grew up knowing all of that and because of the background. So I was quite familiar from a young age. However, I thought, oh, look, I didn't want to do that when I finished uni. When you're in high school, you're like, well, what do I want to do? He was never around. He was working long hours. And I'm like, well, I don't want to look after sick people. However, as I came to understand more I actually went into IT for the first 4 years after year 12. And then I had a gap year and I was like, look, what do I want to do? And dad's like, why don't you try Chinese medicine? And I never even gave it a thought. Like, I like the food, I grew up with it, but we didn't really immerse myself in the experience. I didn't know much about how it worked. So I was like, look, I'll go to China for 6 months. And I just fell in love with just being there, being immersed in the culture. I did a 6-month course in Chinese medicine there. I was in the hospital each day and studying in the afternoon. And I came back and I was like, look, this is really what I want to do. So I studied Chinese medicine and really understood the whole, theory behind it and the understanding of how the body works holistically. So, my passion was also in beauty therapy. So after that, I studied, actually, before I did Chinese medicine, I did beauty therapy, and I wanted to combine the two together. And I was like, look, if people are going to heal and they want to look young from the outside, because I was a makeup artist and a beauty therapist before Chinese medicine. And I was like, look, my interest is in beauty and aging, and I could combine that holistically with Chinese medicine, because I knew that what we ate could create, us to look younger, or it could create us to age. And so my passion was around food. It was around what we did with our bodies, how we thought, and that really impacts, based on Chinese medicine theory and what we know today, how we can really help our health and look younger and healthier, with everything combined in a natural way. And you see people do that in China. They're so healthy, they eat really well, they understand, some theories of, how the body works from a Chinese medicine perspective, because it's part of the culture, a lot of them. So yeah, it was just really good to see firsthand just how it was so important that you combine all the knowledge and understanding to really better your health. And so, yeah, that's where it's taken me today. And I haven't looked back since. So I combine a lot of things I know in beauty therapy, as well as Chinese medicine and NLP, to give my patients the best advice and the best guidance to get them to perfect health.
That's beautiful. And I guess, like having all that knowledge, it's something that you can just draw on at any moment. And,
Yeah.
I think for me, if we can find a natural way to help assist our bodies, there is a space for conventional medicine, but if we have a natural way of supporting our bodies in staying healthy, then we can find ways to actually reduce the risk of needing the other conventional medicines or needing that medical help, probably later down the line. So I love that you are able to infuse that even into beauty as well, because we know people obviously, like you said, beauty is often seen as just external, but
Yes.
it does start from the inside.
Oh, it's all inside. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I would love to just dive into the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. Can you explain to us what they are and then how they relate to food?
So it's a big topic. We could be here for several days, but we'll just sort of limit it to just food and a little bit around the theory of the flavors and the food, just for time's sake. So the 5 elements, which is what Chinese medicine theory, it is what herbal medicine is based on, contains 5 elements. So we start with wood, fire, earth, metal, water. And we say sort of, when you put wood down, it builds fire. Fire turns into ash, it turns into wood. Wood turns into earth, and then earth sort of, can form like sort of crystals and diamonds and whatever metals it comes from the earth. And then you need water, and water sort of feeds the wood, and it sort of goes around in that sort of cycle. So the 5 elements, they sort of feed each other. And so there's a balance between all the 5 elements. So we say wood. So we start with wood. The flavor of wood, the wood element, is actually like a sour flavor. So when you're having a lot of sour flavors, it can help to open up into the eyes. So the 5 elements, the element and the organ. So with each 5 element, it's attached to a specific flavor. It's attached to a whole different attributes. So we'll just go into, say, the sour flavor, and it also helps to the liver, and the wood, which is the organ attached to the wood element, helps with opening up the eyes. So if you're having a lot of sour foods, it helps to brighten the eyes. It helps to sort of open up the eye area. So the liver and the gallbladder are the 2 elements, the 2 organs, which feed sort of the sour food, so it affects the liver and the gallbladder. So next we move into the fire element. So the fire element, we're looking at the heart, the small intestine. So they're the 2 organs associated with the fire element. And the flavor for the 5 element would be like a bitter flavor. So, when we're eating a lot of bitter foods, it helps to calm that heart fire. A lot of people are very agitated, very fiery people. So by having bitter flavors, you calm that heat in the body. Right. And so the next element we go to is the earth element. So the earth element is the center of the body. And we say that those 2 elements are associated with the spleen and the stomach organs. So when you eat a lot of sweet foods, it helps to go to the spleen and stomach. That's why when we eat excessive amounts of sweet foods, you can see people start getting a tummy. You start seeing, the belly get expanded, because all of that sweet goes into the spleen and the stomach. And next we'll move into the metal element, which is associated with the lungs and the large intestine. And that has more to do with pungent sort of flavors. So having all sort of pungent, spicy flavors sort of goes into the lung and the large intestine. That's why when we're eating things which are quite spicy, which are very hot in nature, very pungent, like all your spices, it can affect the lung because it dries out the energy of the lungs. Most of the lung is water, so it helps to dry out the lung. So you're getting problems that are associated with the lung and large intestine if you have excessive spicy food. And then we go into the water element, which is associated with the bladder and the kidneys being water. And the flavor for that is salty flavors. So if you have a lot of salt, it affects the kidneys and the bladder. So you can see within the 5 elements, one element feeds the next and it balances each other. So when we have excessive or we have not enough of particular flavors, you get an imbalance with that organ as well as what that organ is associated and its functions of the organ. So when we make up herbs, when someone comes into the clinic and someone is sort of imbalanced in one organ, all the Chinese herbal medicine all have particular flavors, whether it's one of the 5 flavors or a combination to help balance out the excessive nature of that organ or the deficiencies. It helps to raise up any deficiencies in the organ. So that's why it's really important from a Chinese medicine perspective that when you're eating flavors and foods, it all balances out the particular organ it's going to, but it also helps to regulate the other organs. So if you're having excessive sort of sweets, it's not able to then sort of regulate the metal element because the earth and the metal are related. So you're going to get like an imbalance, and it sort of carries around like a circle and symmetry. So when the body is out of balance, it's going to cause problems in specific organs due to what we eat. I believe everything comes down to what we eat. So yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. Can you maybe give us a quick example of a food that you compare with each element?
Yeah, so we can go into say, okay, so with the 5 different elements, we'll start from like, say, wood. So wood would be the sort of sour flavors, right? So you're looking at anything that's sour in flavor, your lemons and your fruits that are sour, grapefruit, vinegar, limes, all of those sort of foods, right? Those foods are quite sour in nature. So it'll basically help to support the liver and the gallbladder. However, if you're having too much of it, it can also have a detrimental effect. So you got to always look at a balance. So your body is almost like in a homeostasis. Imagine like a sort of balancing scales. If you're having too much of one, it can affect the body. If you're having too little, it can also deplete the body. So it's all about balance. So it's about having various different amounts in a day. I would suggest maybe looking at your day and saying, oh, am I having some of each of the different flavors? Because remember, they all feed the different organs. So we can go into just a couple of different flavors. So if you're looking at, say, the heart organ, right? So that is mainly the bitter flavor. So bitter fruits are sort of like the artichokes, the dark green leafy vegetables, the alfalfa, all the sort of bitter foods, anything dark green, that's more on a bitter note, because when you eat it like rocket, right, it's bitter in flavor. So when you're having something that is bitter, it's able to calm the heat of the heart, which is the fire organ. The fire element is the heart and the small intestine. So we need a balance of the sort of bitterness, because we tend to overheat our bodies due to just everyday living, and we tend to get a bit more fiery. So some people are just more fire. So also another thing with the elements I want to mention is some people may naturally be one element more than the other. So your constitution may be predominantly, say, you're more of a wood person. So you need to understand if that's your element, then you need to have something that will help to balance out, because you tend to be more of that element. So due to time, we won't be able to go into a lot of detail, but I think just understanding that if you know that you get very heated up, you're more of a fire person, then you've got to look at eating more bitter foods to cool you down, that sort of thing, right? So we go on to now the earth element. So that's the spleen and stomach. So people who are more spleen and stomach, they tend to carry weight in their stomach. They're more earthy, right? So earth is spleen and stomach. And they tend to be more earthy, then they're probably overly eating sweet foods. So they need to sort of tone down the sweet foods, right? And help to balance out the spleen and stomach. So if you're predominantly overweight in the spleen and stomach, you've got an excessive sweet tooth. By having sour flavored foods, right? So you're pairing more sour foods, you're able to balance out that sweetness, because the sour will counterbalance the sweet. So if people have a sweet tooth, I say the first thing you need to do is start introducing more sour flavors. That way you reduce your taste palate for excessive sweets by balancing out the sour, and that can help to balance out your spleen and stomach imbalance. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, beautiful.
So the next element we're looking at is the metal element, which is the lung and large intestine, and that is associated with all the pungent, spicy flavors. So all your garlic and onions and chilies, that is very spicy in flavor. So that if you have excessive amounts of that, that can actually dry up your spleen and stomach, causing things like constipation and, a dryness of the lung and large intestine. So everything in moderation. So some people love spicy food, some people love sweet, right? So it's all about a balance, because remember, everything is interacting with each other. And if you have excessive one flavor over another, you're going to affect an imbalance in the organs around it. So, and then the last one we move on to is the water element, which is the kidney and the bladder. So the flavor associated with the water element is the salty flavor. So again, you don't want to have too much salt, but you don't want to have too little salt as well, because it helps to regulate your bladder and your kidneys. So yeah, so coming from what I was saying with all the elements and just to touch on the flavors and the organs it's associated, it's all about balance. So you want to be mindful when you're looking at your diet, am I having excessive amounts of sweet and not enough sour flavors? And that's what I find is very common. People love their sweet foods, but they aren't having enough sour foods in their diet. So we need to start introducing different flavors to make sure there's this balance and harmony between your cooking and what you're eating. So you're not all salty food or all spicy food, right? So people tend to gravitate towards one flavor, and I'm sure everyone is guilty of that. So it's about thinking that when I'm planning my meals and planning what I'm eating, and am I incorporating a little bit of salty food, a little bit of sour foods, a little bit of bitter foods, a little bit of sweet, and a little bit of pungent. So that's how to look at it. If you want a well-balanced health and your body to function optimally, you want a little bit of all the different flavors for sure.
Beautiful. I just love that. And hopefully, if you're listening to this episode, this has maybe shifted your mindset away from just like the hard and fast rules about how to eat, and how this is a new way. And, what a amazing way to do this through flavor and taste. I just love that. So thank you so much, Eli. I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to ask you a question that I ask all my beautiful, amazing guests. What is one way in which you like to appreciate your body?
Oh, there's so many answers, but one way I like to appreciate is really cook. I think that the if you learn nothing else, I think cooking is one way to really appreciate your body, because when you're cooking, you understand you're putting love into the food. You know exactly what ratios you're putting into your cooking. You can add a little bit of salt or more if you need. You can you can amp up the spices. So by doing that, you're cooking, you're putting this love and you're putting this awareness and mindfulness into the cooking, that when you're actually cooking with love, that is actually transferring into the body when you're eating the food, and you know exactly what's going in it. So I think by appreciating your body, you don't have to be, a master chef, but I think everyone can learn the real basics of just cooking a very simple meal. And I think that goes a long way for both your mind, body, and spirit. When you are cooking and you cook with love, you appreciate the food, and you know where it's coming from, you've done the effort, and you're actually eating and appreciating the food, it goes a long way in terms of how that is responding in the body. So yeah, if you appreciate your body, I think really spending the time to learn a few aspects of how to cook a basic meal will make all the difference to your health, because you know exactly what's in your food.
And you mentioned something really amazing here, the emotion while cooking. When we have that emotion of love instead of, oh my gosh, I have to cook again, you actually adding that emotion into what you're eating, into the food. That energy goes in there. So I absolutely love that. And that's just such a beautiful way to nourish our bodies with love and health. So thank you so much, Eli. Just a quick one. Where can people find you? I'll put your links also in the show notes, but if you just wanted to give us one or two places where people can look you up.
Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Facebook. You can just search my name, Eli Huang, or you can look up my business name, Acupuncture and Beauty Center. So yeah, I'm all over social media. You could find me at a few different links, but if you just look up my name, Eli Huang, that's on the screen, you'll be able to find me in most of the social media platforms.
Well, thank you so much, Eli, for joining me today. This was just such an amazing, interesting episode. I think we're going to have to come back for a part
Yes.
2 on this some other time.
Oh, there's so much we can go into. Yeah. So it was just a little just a little background. And for those who don't understand, just to understand that, we must try to incorporate all the different flavors. Because from my experience, I've seen most clients just tend to gravitate to the one flavor, and you can see that huge imbalance and that it transfers to the different organs that are affected. So, if you take nothing else away from this podcast today, make sure you really look at what you're eating and the flavors associated with the food. And when you do that, everything is very colorful, everything is very flavorsome, because you're incorporating this sort of beautiful harmony of food and flavors that taste really good, but you're getting the benefits in the body as well.
Thank you, Ellie. And hopefully you have a little guide for us that I can pop into the show notes with just.
I will. Yep. I've got a really
small.
Yep. I've got a PDF that will explain some of the diets, the different flavors. So I'll send that through, and you can download that from the show notes. It'll include the 5-element cycle, and it'll also include all the different flavors we talked about, the foods that are associated with the flavors, and what that helps with in the body.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ellie. And thank you everyone for listening to this episode. If you would like to reach out to Ellie, make sure to go and find her on social media. If you are struggling with emotional and binge eating, come and download my free resource at resources.wholesomelifestyleproject.com/emotional eating. I'll put this in the show notes. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I can't wait for the next episode.
Thank you,
Bye.
Estelle. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today, and don't forget to share this with all your friends. You can do this by adding this to your Instagram story and tagging me at Wholesome Lifestyle Project, or by simply telling them about it. If you could rate and review on whatever platform you are listening, this will go a long way in helping me get this podcast out there so that I can share my message and help as many women out there struggling with food issues as I can. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram on Wholesome Lifestyle Project, or connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Coombe-Heath, and that's where you'll find me on LinkedIn. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.